Okay, now I want to talk about another way that we can change the way that the flow works on the screen. And this method overrides what the display property does, and it's called float. So it's a float property that we can apply to different elements. Now, what if we want to have Ray on the left, but Kylo on the right of the screen? We need to use, there's lots of different ways that we could do this, but the easiest way in this current case is to float Kylo to the right. So if I come here and I say float, that's the property, right. And it will unlock him from his display property and move him over to the right-hand side of the screen. Now, let's say that Ray was also floated, but to the left. We have this little interesting thing that happens where now the H1 that was at the bottom, Kylo Ren, has moved up inside the screen. So whenever you float objects, they no longer hold their normal flow on the page, and other elements will move freely around where they are. So in order to fix that, in the next element that after the ones that you're floating, you have to add a property called clear, and then clear from the left. So whenever we add that, it resets it, and that the elements after the floated elements will start to respect the space that they contain at that point. This is called the clear fix. It's definitely something that you'll run into if you start floating elements a lot. We don't really do that as much in today's HTML and CSS with frameworks like Bootstrap that we're going to go into later, because we have different ways to move things on the screen that are more modern and advanced, like Flexbox, which we'll talk about in future videos. So float is another way that we can move things on the screen. It ignores the display property, and it also can kind of mess up the flow of elements unless we add that clear fix in. So we'll come back and we'll look at another way to do this in the next video.